Chase. There is no mugshot.
That in the short term, this may bolster Mr. Trump in the primaries, but it's not clear how it looks as the primaries drag on once debate starts, and if he is to make it to a general election, how that will play with independent voters, with women voters, for voters who voted for him in 2016 but switched to Biden in 2020. It's a real question mark, Lester, moving forward.
All right, Kristen Welker, thank you. We want you to stay tuned. We do expect to hear from Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, a previously scheduled news conference scheduled to start right about now. We'll, of course, take you there when he takes the podium. I want to go to NBC News legal analyst Kristen Gibbons. Fedden, let's talk about what we can expect in the discovery in this case, the research, the grist of the case.
Yeah, so we can expect the discovery is really just the exchange of information. Any information that is favorable or unfavorable to the defendant within the prosecution of the case. The defendant would be entitled to that. So that's the prosecutor turning over anything from statements, probably from Stormy Daniels, maybe even Ms. McDougal. But there will also be potentially motions to uncover any of the testimony or evidence that was given to the grand jury. Keep in mind, the grand jury proceedings are secret, but there are certain rules governing the disclosure of that information. So depending on if the prosecution asserts that some of the evidence should remain under seal, that will also be a challenge by Trump's team, because reasonably they're going to want every single thing, testimony and arguments that were made before the grand jury.
The indictment is out.
On them to indict.
All right.
All right, we're going to take a look at the indictment. The grand jury of the county of New York, by this indictment, accused the defendant of the crime of falsifying business records in the first degree in violation of Penal Law 175.10, committed as follows. The defendant in the county of New York and elsewhere on or about February 14th, 2017, with the intent to defraud and intent to commit another crime and aid and conceal the commission thereof, made and caused a false entry in the business records of an enterprise, to wit, an invoice for Michael Cohen dated February 14, 2017, marked as a record of the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust and kept and maintained by the Trump Organization. The second count is falsifying business records in the first degree, which is the detailed general ledger for the Donald J. Revocable Trust bearing voucher number 842457 and kept and maintained by the Trump Organization. It's just like every single voucher number individually. That's how they got to 37 charges, and including the check, including like every single instance. I am zooming in, chat, calm down. Yeah, check stubs. I mean, this is basically what Trump's legal team said that they would do, and that's basically what they did. Every single count is pretty much identical. Can you please clear your Discord notifications? What? Fuck you, dude. Here's the press release. District Attorney Bragg announced 34-count felony indictment. Alvin J. Bragg announced today the indictment of Donald Trump for falsifying New York business records in order to conceal damaging information and unlawful activity from American voters before and after the 2016 election. During the election, Trump and others employed a catch and kill scheme to identify, purchase, and bury negative information about him and boost his electoral prospects. Trump then went to great lengths to hide this conduct, causing dozens of false entries in business records that conceal criminal activity, including attempts to violate state and federal election laws. Trump is charged in a New York State Supreme Court indictment with 34 counts of falsifying business records in the first degree. The people of the state of New York allege that Donald J. Trump repeatedly and fraudulently falsified New York business records to conceal crimes that hid damaging information from the voting public during the 2016 presidential election, said District Attorney Bragg. Manhattan is home to the country's most significant business market. Yeah, it seems like overall, there isn't anything more severe. It is what they thought it was going to be. It is what everyone was speculating. There is no like additional charges or anything. From the New York Times, the charges against Mr. Trump are all Class E felonies, which are the lowest category of felony offense in New York, can carry a maximum prison sentence of 4 years per count. Under New York law, falsifying business records is generally a misdemeanor, but prosecutors can escalate the charge when they believe a person falsified business records in order to commit another crime to hide the committing of a crime. Yeah, that is what everyone has been speculating about nonstop. That's what everyone thought was the case, and that's why everyone was like, oh, this is going to be not that big of a deal. This is not going to be that big of a deal. This is not going to be that big of a deal. And they're right. They are right. It's not that big of a deal. Like, ultimately, this is, we're talking about, what? I'm trying to hold on a moment. What is this? Oh.
To a gaggle of reporters. We're trying to get our microphone.
Hold on. Let's watch this real quick.
It's not a sad day. I don't expect this to happen in this country. You don't expect this to happen to somebody who was the president of the United States. And on the one hand, there's not really any surprises. I know there was a lot of talk over the past several weeks and the past several days about what's going to be in this indictment and what's going to be there that we don't know. There must be something besides what we've been talking about for the past 4 or 5 years. There wasn't. There's nothing. The indictment itself is boilerplate. It doesn't allege any federal crime, any state crime that's been violated. It doesn't allege what the false statement is. And it's really disappointing. It's sad, and we're going to fight it. We're going to fight it hard.
Were you surprised by anything in the indictment?
No.
How about you, Joe? Were you surprised?
Yeah, I was surprised there were no facts in there. Normally in an indictment you have alleged facts. So they said that this was a false business record entry to aid and abet another crime without saying what the other crime was.
Can you talk about his demeanor? How was he doing?
Trump's reaction was when he saw the charges against him.
When you say what his reaction was, what do you expect his reaction was? His reaction was exactly what would happen if it happened to anybody that I'm looking at now or anybody that's hearing what you're saying.
Who would?
He's frustrated. He's upset. But I'll tell you what, he's motivated. And it's not going to stop him, and it's not going to slow him down, and it's exactly what he expected.
Taco Pina.
To that extent,
get his ass, Taco Pina.
But he's also upset and frustrated.
Hey,
and
they don't call me Taco Penis for no reason over here.
Warnings against his rhetoric on.
Hold on.
What was the former president's
What? There was not a warning. What do you mean?
From the judge, talking about
the judge did not warn. The
The
district attorney made a statement addressing what they perceived to be, I'm not sure what the words they use, inappropriate rhetoric of some sort. Obviously, we responded, and the judge just took it in. The judge didn't warn. He asked the parties to consider what they're saying and not saying.
Guys, he did not admonish the president.
There was no admonishment.
That the president not use language that would incite violence or civil unrest.
He did not request that the president not use language. He requested that everybody involved refrain from using language that's inappropriate. And by the way, that includes the witnesses for the people who are talking just as much as the president.
The former president swinging a baseball bat at the head of the Manhattan DA.
Well, I don't know where you got that, because if
that was a tweet sent out by the former president.
No, it wasn't. And first of all,
it wasn't.
He was not swinging a baseball bat. I mean, if you want to distort the facts, go right ahead. I want to address that. Yes, it is. He wasn't swinging a baseball bat.
I want to fucking swing a baseball bat myself over here.
An American-made bat. Someone else put a picture of the district attorney next to him, and in an article posted that. That's not his article. That's not his photos.
Not using language that incites.
Guys, here's what we're going to talk about today. Here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the insufficiency of this case. And I will say this to you. Today's unsealing of this indictment shows that the rule of law died in this country. Because while everyone is not above the law, no one's below it either. And if this man's name was not Donald J. Trump, there is no scenario we'd all be here today. Please understand that based on these charges.
What are we going to get tonight?
Like, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. But that's also partially because, like, you know, we are so used to people who are rich being above the law. That's the only reason. You cook the books in a similar capacity like this, you're gonna get fucking fined. You're gonna get punished. But when a business owner does shit like this, okay, when a business owner does shit like this, it's basically seen as as just like a minor offense that you could just pay a fine and move on with. Okay, that's it.
Quite frankly, is the best team I've ever worked with, the lawyers. I'm honored to be working with these guys. It's a family, it's a team, and we have one mission, and we'll achieve that mission.
What's your next move?
Why is this guy putting a leg up there? I don't even understand.
Change of venue stuff. When do we?
I mean, we're going to start fighting the case. I didn't mean to be flippant.
Hasan, is that based on any evidence at all, or is it just your vibes? No, he's absolutely wrong. What do you mean? No.
That requires motion files in 4 months.
Brother, someone else already fucking served a prison sentence for the crime that they're talking about, okay?
It's actually a fact. It's never been charged before. There's nothing else to say except the district attorney. This office has existed for decades and decades.
We're gonna look at the statement of facts in a second. To dive in a little bit further and develop a better understanding, but
a state prosecutor is prosecuting a federal election law violation that doesn't exist according to federal election law officials. It's as simple as that. That you could sum it all up like that.
Will there be anything else in your motion to dismiss?
That we haven't even come
What about
close
the
to
change of
deciding.
venue? There's all this talk. Can someone address that now?
The defendant could potentially post discovery on social media.
Impromptu news conference outside the courthouse with the attorneys for former President Donald Trump, who right now is nearing LaGuardia Airport for his return to Florida after what was described as about a 45-minute long arraignment hearing in which a number of issues were discussed, including some of the tone of language that had concerned the DA's office from the former president. But his attorneys strongly defending the former president and challenging the DA to come up with facts which they think are not in evidence right now. Laura Jarrett has been working this set of documents.
yeah, I don't know why they were putting the leg. Like, you don't have a leg to stand on. That's what that means, maybe. Okay. We'll take a look. Unless they're going to analyze the charges right now individually and go through them point by point, I'm going to cover it here, or at least the statement of facts, okay? Everything that people were speculating on leading up to this court case, leading up to this being unsealed, the indictment being unsealed, was basically correct. All that speculation amounted, it was correct. That's it. ABC's doing it. Here, link it to me, and I'll go to ABC. Oh no, here it is, ABC. Let's take a look.
which underscores what you're saying here. The DA's office saying in this press release, Trump is charged in a New York State Supreme Court indictment with 34 counts of falsifying business records in the first degree, which signals that it's a felony. But again, all 34 counts directly related to falsifying business records, Kate.
Thank you, Silken Cookies and Loppin 12.
The indictment suggests that
for the 10
scheme
gift
itself is being charged as a scheme designed to bury negative information to boost the former president's electoral prospects. And there's a reference made to attempts to violate both state and federal election laws. So the scheme is sort of being charged as the one we have been anticipating, but there's not as much clarity as you might expect in some of these documents regarding what specific federal and state election laws are being used to boost this misdemeanor to a felony, now, or these misdemeanors to felonies. Now, it's not that those need to be charged separately, right? The way this New York law works is it becomes a felony if committed in furtherance of another crime. You don't have to prove or actually even charge the other crime, but the sort of generality of the reference to the other crimes is surprising, at least to me. We don't.
The next in-person hearing date for Trump's case in New York is set for December 4, by the way. So we ain't got no juice until December 4th.
What you essentially see from the district attorney here is he's making the case that this was a conspiracy to use this catch and kill philosophy, i.e., we're going to take this story out from the public domain so it never sees the light of day. So, in fact, Donald Trump can continue his effort to become the president of the United States. And they're saying that it violates both state and federal law, that scheme.
You catch the story, you pay for it, but then you never print it. You catch and kill it. That's the allegation here. And again, this is the indictment, which isn't a speaking indictment, but you can get the sense of the size of this here. These are the charges laid out, and then what we're basing so far, the narrative provided by the DA comes in a 2-page sort of press release, if you will. Alvin Bragg is going to address the public a short time from now. He'll face many of the questions, the open-ended questions that we have here at the table. John?
David, there's also an introduction here, in addition to the press statement and the list of counts that goes through in detail this catch and release process that was going on, and it's described. And there's some new details in here, but it's describing the head of the company that owned the National Enquirer telling Trump in a meeting at Trump Tower in 2015 that this is David Pecker, would act as his eyes and ears for the campaign by looking out for negative stories about the dependent and alerting lawyer A.
Hank Pecker, David Pecker. Pecker is mad.
Lawyer A, of course, would be Michael Cohen.
That's my uncle.
One of the stories mentioned specifically is a story revolving a Trump Tower doorman who it says that in October, between October and November of 2015, was trying to sell information regarding a child that the defendant allegedly fathered out of wedlock. And the AMI CEO, that's David Pecker's direction, AMI negotiated and signed an agreement to pay the doorman $30,000 to acquire exclusive rights to that story. Again, catch the story and then bury it.
Again, Trump did this shit nonstop, except the difference is like proving that this is done with the express purpose of like defrauding electors or hiding the truth from electors, voters is going to be the hard part of this. Like it almost feels like he did this because he had money flow coming in and he knew that these were going to resurface again. But he can always say it's to protect my marriage. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, Trump and his fucking cronies are so stupid that, like, his cronies are so stupid that I could see them quite literally writing, I'm doing this to defraud. I'm doing this with the express purpose of hiding the truth from the American voting population, and only because, I'm running for president. Otherwise, I would not give a shit. Like, they're so dumb, they might have literally said that. There might be actual evidence in this regard. There might be, like, actual receipts, because they are that fucking stupid. The only thing that turns these crimes from misdemeanors to a felony is if it's being done specifically for the election. So in that regard, there's a couple components here as far as I understand it, and my understanding of it might be fucking stupid and might be incorrect, but from what I understand, they need to, one, show that like the person knew that this was illegal, and violated it regardless. I lowered my audio because I was yelling. Which still makes it okay. No, none of this is okay. We're talking about whether or not this is a serious charge. Okay? Donald Trump has done a million things that are, that are illegal. He does illegal things all the time. Many wealthy people do illegal things all the time. Every single president has done illegal things while they were the president, or at the very least, very immoral things. Okay? The difference here is the level of illegality, okay, the level of crime directly corresponds to how, like, whether or not he will actually serve, like, a prison sentence, which is very unlikely, okay, or like what kind of punishments he is going to withstand. Do you understand? That's the thing here. That's why I'm talking about the elevation of misdemeanors to actual felonies. What ties it into an actual felony makes it the way to tie this into an actual felony basically turns this into a not such. It just turns it into a less strong case. That's it.
Issues, as they call it. There's other issues as well. And so there may be a lot of legal fighting about the nature of these charges before you get to any witness and evidence and trial.
And the state prosecutor making the case that this somehow affected a direct correlation with federal election law is the part of this, Terry, that's really untested.
Very untested. It is a reach. This prosecution is a reach. Obviously they've got them dead to rights on falsifying documents, falsifying business documents, but then to latch it into the crime of either the New York state election law or federal election law is a leap, and it needs to be proved beyond a reasonable doubt to 12 people, and that may be tough.
Pierre?
Yeah, one of the things that's quite interesting here is that the statement of facts, which we now have and have printed out, is what speaks for the indictment. It lays out the narrative. But the key witness in this case, based on the reading of this, will be the publisher of the National Enquirer, because he can speak to, one would think, whether Donald Trump himself was aware of this catch and kill scheme, and participated in it. One of the things that Michael Cohen stated when he was pleading guilty.
Fuck you. Count one, conspiracy to avoid the top of the hour ad break. There you go. I'll give it to you. I'm not gonna fucking avoid that. I got you baited. Okay. Yeah. There you go. Good job. You're going to jail, by the way. From at least in or about 2019 up to and including or about April 2023 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Donald J. Trump, a.k.a. best president ever, the defendant and others known and unknown gray names willfully and knowingly did combine, conspire, confederate, and agree together with each other to commit fraudulent ad avoidance in violation of Title 69 United States Code, Section 420. You're going to jail for falsifying court records. I hope you know that. Oh, yeah? You got me. You served the top of the hour ad break in my stead. But guess what? You'll be also serving a prison sentence. I've informed the authorities. Check the indictment number. Yeah, 0821 2019 -69. I got it. Yeah, have fun in prison, buddy. Also, have fun with the top of the hour ad break unless you subscribe for $5 or for free with Twitch Prime or by getting gifted a sub if you are lucky. Here is the 3-minute ad break now. The DN Dandy, thank you for the 5 get the subs. La 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 Keisha, thank you for the 5 get the subs, allowing 10 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. You're arresting me because I'm poor? Wow. X710. Thank you for the 5 give the subs. Let's continue. Actually, wait, hold on. Where the fuck is it? real one. Oh, here. This is the one.
Far more significant, frankly, in her telling of it than Stormy Daniels. They talk about a doorman who wanted to sell a damaging story against Trump, another catch and kill there, and they talk about Stormy Daniels. But that one seems to be a little different. But nevertheless, Pecker and Cohen working in tandem on
I get
all
scared
of
if
these.
It's
a really interesting story, quite frankly, that the DA's office tries to show. And, we've thrown that word conspiracy out there a lot. Certainly in the statement of facts, they are talking about a conspiracy in the sense that this was a trend. This was not a one-time deal that happened. It seemed to be a rinse and repeat relationship for Cohen and Pecker, all to the benefit of Donald Trump.
John Santucci, our thanks to you. Keep pouring through along with the rest of the team here. I want to bring in former Governor Chris Christie. And Chris, I'm curious, are you at all surprised at the role David Pecker seems to be playing as far as his seems to be a very significant witness here for the DA?
No, in fact, on Sunday when I was on the This Week show with George, he asked me what did I think was going to be different or new. And I looked at him and said 2 words, David Pecker. Look, I disagree a bit with some who have said they think this is a reach. Look,
That's
if
insane.
in fact
Fuck
it doesn't
you
seem to
guys.
me that federal campaign finance law needs to be involved in any way here. The crime is to try to essentially defraud the voters of the state of New York by trying to either help or impede the election or defeat of 2 or more candidates, which would be Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And Pecker is the guy. And I think what may have changed here with Alvin Bragg is maybe David Pecker was willing to come forward now and be cooperative because in the federal case, there was a lot of back and forth with Pecker about what he would do or not do. And Pecker, presumably, does not have the same infirmities that Michael Cohen would have as a witness. One, you haven't seen David Pecker anywhere. You haven't seen him on television giving any interviews or doing anything else. I haven't seen this guy for a long time. And I certainly haven't seen him making any public comments as opposed to Michael Cohen, who seems to be as addicted as his former boss is to getting in front of a TV camera. So my guess as to what's going on here is that the single most important witness, as was said earlier by Pierre, you don't have to prove these 34 falsification counts. They're not going to be difficult to prove. And Cohen will probably have the most to do with that. And I don't think it'll be hard to prove. The key is going to be proving the underlying crime that elevates it to a felony. And I think there is going to be one most important witness, and that's going to be David Pecker.
We have pulled the transcript. We'll give you complete credit for having predicted some of this on Sunday morning. Our thanks to you, Governor Christie. Thank you very much. And so you heard Chris Christie there, former prosecutor himself, Dan and Kate, talking about it. There's been this discussion about a violation of campaign finance law or that he's saying that
why did they choose such a weak thing to go after? I mean, it's Trump. Wouldn't there be more serious you can get him on? Yes. And there are two other charges, or 2 other investigations that are currently ongoing that are about more significant charges. So this is just New York. There's the DOJ one for January 6th, and then there's the Georgia one for, trying to change the outcome of an election. Those are much better. The Georgia case especially is very, I think the Georgia case is the best one out of all of them. There's also the classified documents one too. From the Department of Justice. There's 2 on Department of Justice. There's the January 6th one and the classified documentation one. But that one is just like, I think, obstruction of an investigation or something. Like the documents one is who knows? Who knows what happens on that one. There he is, our beautiful
He's telling
boy.
them that. We're going to hear from the DA in a moment, but right now, all eyes on Donald Trump walking up the stairwell to his plane. He will fly back to Mar-a-Lago.
Juicy in what way?
To
Better
address
evidence?
reporters in Mar-a-Lago
Just like the
tonight
crime.
with some sort of a statement, though unclear how much of that will change.
And the charges
now,
that
given
might
what's
come
played
along
out
with
here
that crime.
before us. It'd be fascinating, of course, obviously, to be on that plane for this 2 to 3 hour flight back down to Mar-a-Lago, John. But the president
David Pecker is going to be a star witness. August 2015.
Reacting to the indictment that
August 2015, the key meeting that set up a catch and kill election scheme is Pecker, Trump, and Cohen. 2016, Pecker